Hello, this is Dave from Net4 Truth USA, Whirlwind Revolt. It is October 21st, 2019, and it is presently 0020 hours in the morning Eastern Standard Time. I just want to put this short video out to explain several questions. Actually, there were several people asking basically the same question. And this pertains to my prior video about children being rescued by the military from deep underground military bases in California. And the questions basically asked this: whose military is rescuing children from whose military bases? And in the swirl of facts and in the swirl of information, as a reporter, sometimes you assume that people know what you're talking about. Well, you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. Well, maybe I made an ass out of myself. The CIA, otherwise known as the company, or C_A, has its own military, has had its own military probably since they were formed. The CIA ran Air America, big drug trafficking operation out of Southeast Asia back in my day when I was over there. And they run drug trafficking and child trafficking operations today. They have their own military. They are funded by their illicit operations. Back in the Vietnam era, they were funded by drugs and probably even child trafficking that nobody knew about. They have their own military, and they also get funding from our government, which, if I was the president, I would cut off entirely. The CIA is a government within the government. The company built those underground military bases with machines that you and I would look at and say, oh my God, I don't believe this is possible. Machines, tunneling machines that can drill through solid rock 7 miles a day. And they've got tunnels going all over California, all across the country, and probably under Donald Trump's wall. So, in order to stop this, they mapped out where the tunnels were, blew them up so that they couldn't escape, because there's high-speed trams that go through these tunnels. Stuff that, you know, if you live in New York City, you got to live in the subway. The old squeaky-ass shit that goes back to 1910, with graffiti all over it and people puking and pissing all over the place. And they've got state-of-the-art MacLeod trains running in these tunnels. So they blew up the tunnels so they couldn't escape. And then they went into the deep underground military bases, arrested who they could, and rescued over 2,000 children. That is a fact reported by multiple reliable sources that have nothing to do with social media, and reported by people on social media such as myself and the guy from Alaska. His name escapes me, but I watch him sometimes. That's a fact. The company has its own military, funded by its own underground resources and illicit operations all over the planet. And this has been going on for years and years and years. Oh, God, this dog snores like, hey, oi, I'm making a video here. You're snoring up a storm here, Minch. Come on. You gotta love him. You gotta love him. She snores like better than a human being. But this is, and she's right here. Where is she? See her there? She's right there. Right here. There she is. My baby. All right. So be that as it may. Now you know what I, for lack of a better term, left out of all of this coverage that I've been doing for 4 years now on this venue. And I pray that these children get home safe, that they are properly debriefed, and that the people who have done this to them get the death penalty. This is something that the general public is massively unaware of. You have people running around and putting so much energy and so much of their time and so much of their money and so much of their mental capacity into memorizing sports statistics and going out and having tailgate parties. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But how does it affect you personally? How does it affect your family? And shouldn't you put things that are more important ahead of that useless nonsense? Every day that goes by, we learn something new. And most of the time, that something new is not what we want to hear. And just because we don't want to hear it, don't mean that we should ignore it. We are at the cusp, a fork in the road. And I'm afraid we're going to have to take the wrong fork for a minute. The American people are peaceful. They're loving people. They're generous people. And they've been taken advantage of for much, much too long. We wish that we could feed, house, and clothe every human being on the planet, but it's just not possible. It's just not possible because we've been robbed. We've been taken advantage of. The minorities of this country have been brainwashed by the people who are supposed to be looking after their interests, namely the Black Caucus, Congressional Caucus, that when Donald Trump said lowest unemployment rate for minorities ever, should have taken off their hats and threw them up in the air and celebrated and went out, and finally the mission was done. The thing that we sought after all these years for all you good people, our constituents, was finally accomplished. But they sat there butthurt because now they don't have an excuse anymore. And because minorities are walking away from the demon rat KKK party, the cat's out of the bag. So where are we going to get people to vote for us? We'll bring them up from South America. We'll give them all this free shit, and they'll vote for us. That's the long and the short of it. And in the meantime, we'll exploit their children. We'll farm out for cheap labor. And we'll abuse and exploit anybody we can, because we have no agenda, no plan, and no dream. They have no dream. You go to a Trump rallies, everybody's enthusiastic, running up and down and shouting and yelling and cheering. And you go to one of these demon rat rallies, you got maybe 2,000 people at the best, with headliners like Madonna, who headlined for the Oven Mitt Fashionista and offered some oral services for their vote. I assume it was just the males that she was offering the service to, but in her case, you never know. You know what I mean? But let's keep this real. There is a government within the government. the shadow government, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. Been there for a long time. And at least since John F. Kennedy, it's been a two-party, switch them off, take turns, making believe that we have a different agenda than the other party, and the other party's fighting us, and we're fighting them. And who wins? The polls win. The media is all involved with this shit. Self-fulfilling prophecies. Nobody wants to vote for a loser. And the presidents have been picked by the deep state, by the Rothschilds, and by the powers that be, the Queen of England and the Vatican, since forever. Kind of hard to believe, eh? Kind of hard to believe that in the 50s, in the days of Leave It to Beaver, that this shit was going on right underneath our noses and we never even had a clue. That's because the mainstream media has been in the deep state's pocket before I was born, and I'm 68. So, all of us, everybody watching this video, unless you're 200 years old, has been robbed of the American dream, the true American dream, the dream that everybody had, the nation that cannot be taken over by force. So instead, they got together and they did this mind control, weapon of mass destruction, or mass distraction, called a TV set, and used the only profession that's constitutionally protected, compromised the CEOs, got them to go to Jeff Epstein's island, and before he had this island, I'm sure they had some other places to go, where they could frolic around butt-ass naked and abuse little children, sacrifice them to Molech, and drink their blood just for shits and giggles. Why? Why not? Nobody's going to know. Nobody knows. But secretly, they got you on film. Now, they own you. You do what they say, or they'll put you out on Front Street. And you can come and make accusations against them, but what proof do you have? They the ones that got the videos and the films. So now when the Frazzle Drip video finally drops, and I'm assuming it's going to be dropped by the government because it's a federal crime, it's a capital offense to even have the goddamn thing. It's a federal offense to possess evidence of a crime. Go figure. But when that tape, that video finally comes to light, the first thing these assholes are going to do is call it a deep fake. And then we have 8mm film from the 1960s and the 1970s from Zabruta type 8mm cameras of the same people doing the same shit that's on a modern video that they call deep fake. That's the chess game that I foresee. That's the plan that I foresee. Call it a deep fake. Go ahead. How are you going to call Mylar film with holes in it that's crinkling, that's busting with age? How are you going to call that a deep fake? You can't. Then you're trapped. Then you're busted. You're trapped in a lie and you're trapped in a crime. Put you up against the wall and shoot the whole goddamn lot of you. I don't know who it was. I think it was Socrates or one of the old philosophers that said, a country can withstand attacks from without, but it can't withstand treason from within. And people here on social media thank God that this technology came about when it did. And make no mistake, folks, this technology was invented to enslave us. It was invented to keep track of us, to surveil us. That Alexa thing that's on your dresser, if you have one, grab it by the cord and swing it around and bash it up against a brick wall somewhere. Because that fucking thing is listening to everything that goes on in your house. How do you think it knows when you say, hey Google or Alexa? How do you think it knows to pay attention? Because it's paying attention continuously. And it's broadcasting all your conversations and all your shit to whoever's on the other end. That's like having a video camera in your bathroom watching you take a shit. Pretty soon, and not only that, they got toilets already that you take your cell phone and you flush your toilet with a cell phone. What's this thing doing? Measuring your shit turds? Counting the sesame seeds in the bagel you ate the other day? You got cameras in your damn refrigerator that can tell you how many eggs you have in your refrigerator. These people are out of their fucking minds. I got enough trouble doing me. I got enough trouble getting up in the morning and taking care of shit that's me. These people want to run the whole freaking planet. There is something wrong with these people, man. There is something seriously wrong with these people. And I don't even know if they're people. I have a hard time believing that somebody who would eat a baby can be called human. And as for me, I would have no more hesitation dispatching those sons of bitches than I would stepping on a cockroach. And I tell you something else. A lot of people are afraid that the military is going to be used against them. Let me tell you something. The military that's on our side, not the company's military, but our military, would never do such a thing. And I tell you what, as an ex-serviceman, 4 years in the Air Force, from 1969 to 1972, I would give my fellow servicemen, my brothers and sisters, a word of advice. If you get an illegal order to fire upon or to move against U.S. citizens, take your service weapon, put it up against that officer's face, and blow his fucking brains out. This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA, Whirlwind Revolt. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net4 Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4 Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.